How's it going, people? Right, so this episode today is going to be another what have I been playing and what am I going to play. So I haven't done one of these for a while. I'll be honest, I've had a lot of other content to cover, like VRs and new games that are coming that I wanted to do a little review on, and other series we've started. So I haven't done one for a little while, but it's good that I haven't, because it does mean that I've been able to get some games in that, like, one of them's a new one as well, that have been a little bit different to what I was playing. So basically, and if you're wondering, that's Axiom Verge that's playing in the background there. Yeah, so like I said in the last video I spoke about, I said I was going to get onto Valfaris again, which I have done. Basically, that game is a tricky game. I'm not going to lie, it's enjoyable, very enjoyable, but also very challenging. And yeah, there was some particular parts on my last go on it where I struggled a little bit. The first one was a stupid mistake. So there's a part where you have to jump on these sort of like steam that comes out. You have to jump on it to get to the next platform. And you have to do that a couple of times, and these little spiders going along, and you've got to get your timing right. And I died a couple of times. Eventually I managed it, and then when you get to the top, you've got this big cannon in the corner, and then you've got to fight against like what looks like a big massive dog of some sort that shoots at you. And that took a couple of attempts, but not a massive issue. Now the issue I did have was my own stupidity. There's a part where you go and collect, I think it's a new sword, if I remember right, and then you come back through, and I couldn't figure out where I was meant to go, and I forgot that one of the parts of this game is you have to shoot these what look like buttons or levers to open up another lever somewhere else so you can get through to the next part. So I ended up I was like, oh great, I'm stuck, maybe I've gone the wrong way here. So I reset and then did it again. And then I accidentally shot it and realised, I meant to shoot that to open the bottom bit. Yeah, I forgot about that, because you do it earlier in the game. So I get through to the next stage, and this was where the struggle really came in. So there's a part where you have to take out like this crystal, and it's got an energy shield around it. Now, the energy shield drops every now and again. You have to take it out. You can only shoot at it when the shield drops. Now the problem I had is that you get loads of bad guys chucked at you, and I started to work out a sort of pattern, and then the computer would change it. So it changes every time. But eventually I figured it out. It took a lot of attempts, I'm not going to lie, it took me a few attempts. But and as it goes along also, the bad guys get harder to kill as well. So, and you've got to try and take them out as well as shoot the crystal to get out of there. And it opens a little door and you get onto the next bit. Like I say, eventually I got the hang of it. I took it out, got onto the next bit, and then you fight this weird sort of like demon thing. And there's a pattern to that as well. There's a platform, and it appears that you're all right on that, or you're all right on the ground. You can jump off the platform onto the ground. And it's kind of a bit like a rubbish dump, if you like. You shoot from the ground to take out the stones that are around him, and then you can shoot at him. But then when he dives into the ground, you've got to jump onto the platform, because if you stay on the ground, he takes you out. And, you know, I got onto the platform, and I got very close to killing him, but I just can't quite get there. So that was at that point where I thought, right, I'm going to have a rest for a bit, and I'll go back to that at a later date. So that was where I ended it on this particular session. But yeah, like I say, I was playing it for quite a while because the crystal bit was quite challenging. So yeah, so definitely going to revisit it. Hopefully take out this weird demon thing that flies around. Yeah, very enjoyable game. Like, if you haven't played Valfaris and you like these style of games, definitely consider picking it up. In fact, I would even say consider picking it up anyway, because the price is going up on this game, guys. So, you know, even if you're just getting it as an investment, it might be worth picking up, you know. It might be one of them games that ends up going up quite a bit. as we know, games are going up all the time and they drop all the time as well. So you know, you never know. Anyway, moving on to the next game. So the next game I then played was Agalos. And this one is an interesting one. It reminds you a lot of the old NES style games, you know, where you got to walk along, talk to people. But there's no, like, voice. It all comes up like writing in a box, similar to Axie and Verge, actually. It comes out like a little box, you know, of what the person's saying, and then you push the button, and then it's what you're saying. And you're basically a knight going along, got your little sword and that, and you've got to go along. And if I remember right, you've got to free somebody. I think it might be a princess that's been taken. I forget now because I played this the other week. So, another game that gets challenging quite quickly, but not in the way you're thinking. It's not so much challenging in the fact that you've got to take out the bad guys. It's more challenging in the fact that you've got to figure out where you've got to go and what you've got to do next. There's not really any hints, like, if you like, as to what you're supposed to do. So, and of course, the old NES games were like this, weren't they? You know, you had to wander around and figure out what you had to do. And it's a very colourful game, a very nice looking game. Although it's nice quality graphics like you'd expect from the PS4, it's got that retro feel to it because, you know, it doesn't look as blocky as the old NES games, obviously, but it does look retro looking, if that makes any sense. I enjoyed this game. I'll be honest, I'm not sure if it's my type of game, but I did enjoy it nonetheless. So it's definitely something I'm going to go back to. Yeah, interesting. Like I say, very colourful. The animation side of it is very nice looking, like, especially the bit where you got this weird little blob thing going on the floor. It looks all cute and that, and then you get up to it and it just stretches like a big mouth and tries to eat you. So, you know, it reminds me a lot of the old NES style games. That's the sort of thing you got back then. So whoever did that game obviously had that in mind when they did it. So, yeah, very good game, very enjoyable. Definitely something I'm going to go back to. And then we got my favourite one that I've picked up just recently, and that is Hot Shot Racing. Now, by now you would have seen that I've done a little quick review on that game. Thoroughly enjoyed this game. It's an arcade-style racing game, and it does remind you of a lot of the old-style arcade games. It's like with Agalos, you know, it's got a new, you know, clean PS4 look to it, but it reminds you of the retro style, you know, games. And it's, you know, it's got the arcade voice, like, you know, ready, go, like, you know, all that sort of stuff. It's got a great soundtrack to it, although when I did my review, I turned it off because with a lot of that sort of dance type music, it quite often is copyrighted, so I didn't want to risk it. However, I would say the music does take away from it a little bit when you're playing. If you haven't got it, it is better to have the music on when you're playing. But nevertheless, it didn't ruin the game for me. It's very enjoyable. And the minute I'd finished recording, I went back on it with the music on. And yeah, it sounds and feels much better with it on. Yeah, very good game. I only reviewed the quick race and the first Grand Prix, which is, I think, 4 races. At first, I was a little bit sort of smashing into things because you have to drift in the game. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. So I was kind of smashing into barriers a bit and other cars. But then when I got to the Grand Prix, I started to get used to it. I was controlling the drift. And when I say controlling the drift, basically, when you drift, if you're not careful, you can end up fishtailing. So you'll go one way and then the other. Now, you think hitting the cars is a bad thing. Well, it's not, because in this game, when you drift, it increases your boost. And also, it would appear that when cars, or you hit cars, it increases your boost as well. So, and it's unavoidable, to be honest. Like, cars hit you, you hit cars, especially when you're drifting. Sometimes it's handy because if you're drifting a bit too far and a car comes up the outside, it stops you hitting the barrier. They hit it instead. So sometimes it does come in handy anyway. But yeah, very enjoyable game. There are other modes that I do need to get onto. I haven't tried yet, which is Cops and Robbers and a couple of others. The Cops and Robbers, I've heard that when you're a cop car and you have to go along, and when you hit the other cars, they become cops. And the idea is you catch everybody. Like I say, I haven't played it yet. That's just what I've been told. So I'm going to have another look at that for the next video. So maybe show a bit of that. And yeah, that's pretty much what I've been playing. Very good games. Really enjoyed playing them. Yeah, all great titles. And funny enough, all PS4 ones. I mean, normally I do play some retro as well, but I've been enjoying these, so I've been playing these a bit more. So yeah, so a little bit of new stuff for this past week. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed the video, guys. And before I go, I'm just going to say to you that I probably will be continuing with these 3 games next week, but I'm going to try and fit something else in there too, so that we're not just covering the same stuff all the time. Right, if you have enjoyed this video, please like, share and subscribe, and also hit that little notification bell. And when you do, click all so that you're made aware of all our future uploads. Get a nice little notification letting you know we've put a video up. While I'm at it, I'm going to mention about the Nerdy Geezer Facebook group, not the page, the group. So if you're not joined to that, descriptions down, the links down below in the description. I'll get that the right way around. And also, if you're into your emulation, there's the Retro Emulation fan group. Again, link is in the description below. If you like your emulation, get yourself over there and join that too. Right, all there is left to say is take care, stay safe, Nerdy Geezer out.